coming for you.
Our movie starts in a dense forest. We see a guy, his face and clothes all messed up with dirt and blood, carrying a girl who looks like she's his daughter. He gets to a big house and puts her down on the couch. The girl suddenly wakes up and calls out for her dad. Then the guy hears his wife screaming, calls out her name,
Christine!
and runs to see what's wrong. The scene then flashes back a bit to the same room, where we see a friendly woman asking the man to sit at the table. We learn his name is Dr. Michael, and he just moved from Manhattan to a town called Ashboro. Michael says the move was for his family's sake. The woman, Madame Furs, explains that her husband's sudden death was tough on her, which is why the family home is up for sale.
May I ask what happened?
And she tells him her husband was killed by a rabid dog while walking near the barn behind the house. She reassures him not to worry because they caught and got rid of the dog. Michael buys the house, and Madame Furs tells him she's sure he and his family will be happy there and that the locals will get used to them quickly. Michael is confused, so she clarifies that it's a small town and the people aren't used to strangers. Back at their old place, Michael's wife is finishing up packing bags for the move. She picks up a framed photo of a girl who looks like her, looks at it for a moment, and then puts it to the side to keep packing. Michael gets home with his daughter Jessica and their dog Big. He notices Christine seems affected by the move, so he tells Jessica to go finish packing her room and goes to talk to his wife.
Thought this is what you wanted.
It is.
And she says she's just a little scared because of the big change. The next morning, the family drives to their new home. As they approach the town's entrance, they notice there's no cell service. The family is excited about the natural scenery and arrives at their new house. Big and Jessica run around the big yard. Suddenly, the dog gets scared near the old barn, like something caught its attention. Jessica says she doesn't feel good and wants to go back inside. Michael immediately tells her this is their new home and tries to calm her down, but she suddenly throws up on him, which startles him. He then steps on a big nail on the ground. Christine and Michael laugh about it. Michael heads to the car to get the house keys, and his wife tells him to change his pants before going in. He starts taking off his pants right there, but their new neighbors, Phil and Tyler Dayton, a grandfather and his grandson, interrupt them. Tyler brings back the family dog who had run away. Phil invites them all for lunch at his house right across the street. When they get to Phil's house, he points Michael toward the bathroom upstairs on the left. Michael goes up and realizes the bathroom is inside a bedroom. He sees someone asleep in the bed and tries to be quiet while he gets cleaned up. He starts to change and clean the wound on his leg. Suddenly, he notices something happened in the room through the half-open door. After bandaging his leg, he quickly leaves the bathroom and finds a woman with a scarred face standing by the window. He goes to apologize for walking into the room, and she says,
You can't help me.
Michael leaves the room and sees another door in the hallway, realizing it was an easier bathroom to get to. He's really confused about why the guy sent him to the wrong one. When he joins everyone, Michael learns that the townspeople are planning a party for his family. Phil says his wife, who looks like she has cancer, will be one of Michael's patients. Christine sees a picture, and Tyler confirms it's his mom, who died last year. Michael says he's waiting for the moving truck, so he excuses himself to leave. As he's leaving, he asks for a phone number for someone who can install gas and TV hookups. Phil gives him a number for the gas company, but tells him there's no TV cable signal because the place is all about people connecting with each other. He adds that the library has a good collection of videos. At home, the couple spends time looking at some photos. When they hear a church bell ring, Michael asks Christine what's happening. She explains that Phil told her there's a curfew that starts at 8 p.m. As they have a drink to celebrate their new home, Michael tells his wife he felt like Phil wanted him to see his wife's room and that he doesn't know what caused the scars on her face. Christine quickly interrupts him, saying they need to talk about something else. Michael, who knows she's about to suggest they have another baby, immediately agrees but says they should wait a bit until they're more settled in town. This makes her very happy. That night, Michael can't sleep, so he goes into his daughter's room and kisses her. He then goes to the room that's going to be his office, which is still a mess. He has a drink and looks at some papers on a shelf. He picks up a file with the name Rosie Dayton, but puts it back without reading it. The next morning, Michael does some repairs while his wife and daughter go for a walk. As he's taking a coffee break, the doorbell rings and he finds a big box at the entrance. On the box, there's a small note that says, "Good luck, Neil," signed by someone named Zach. Inside the box, he finds white foam with many test tubes. These tubes look like they contain samples of deadly and highly contagious diseases like Ebola and the plague. Michael is shocked when he realizes this, and when his daughter Jessica suddenly approaches, he quickly hides them in a specimen refrigerator, worried about a disaster. That night, the family watches a video and falls asleep in front of the TV. A shadowy figure figure walks through the rooms of the house, watching them. As the shadow passes through the living room, Michael wakes up but doesn't notice anything strange. The next day, Doctor. Michael starts his new job at his clinic. His first patient is a woman named Lauren Hunter. He jokes with her about the scheduling system, and Lauren replies that everyone wants to see the new doctor. Michael checks her pulse, and she gives him a strange look. Later that day, Michael is coloring with Jessica. She suddenly draws some yellow circles next to her drawing of a house.
What are those?
And she responds with a question.
Are ghosts real?
Michael is surprised by the sudden question. Jessica says it's because she's been watching cartoons about ghosts. He tells her that ghosts aren't real, but she says she sees them at night in her room. Her dad reassures her that nothing bad will happen to her as long as he's with her. The next day, Michael decides to walk around the house, but suddenly runs into Phil, who walks with him and says there's a place he wants to show him. They arrive at an empty area with some stones stacked on top of each other, forming a large table, with other stones arranged in a circle around it. Phil starts telling a story about some savage people called the Isolated Ones, who lived in complete isolation in that area. They started to hunt and multiply, becoming a threat to the townspeople. To protect their families, the townspeople began offering live animals as sacrifices to the Isolated Ones at this spot. Phil then tells Michael that from this moment on, he must continue this tradition and bring live animals to sacrifice and offer them as a tribute.
You can't be serious.
Michael is stunned by what he heard and tells him that it's all just superstition. But Phil quickly replies that they are legends, and legends are never forgotten. That night, Michael is doing some lab work in his office. When he hears the curfew bell, he cleans up his desk and watches his family play with Big in the yard. In the forest, we see glowing eyes in the dark watching them. The next day at the town church, the Cayle family attends an event. Dr. Michael tries to avoid checkups, and the women are talking to his wife. He notices a strange woman, Madame Zeos, who is from a line of the town's founders. Tyler describes her as a domineering woman. Tyler asks Michael,
You don't trust her, do you?
and confirms that he shouldn't. But suddenly, AJ, the sheriff's son, quickly pulls Tyler away from the doctor as if he's doing something wrong. Michael, who is worried about his wife, doesn't pay much attention and goes into the church where they took Christine. When he enters, he doesn't find anyone except Lauren, who tries to flirt with him. When she notices Michael isn't interested, she says,
You can help me. You can protect me.
but when Michael asks her what the problem is, she tries to cover it up and says,
Nothing.
Michael leaves and finds his wife outside the church looking worried. She tells him that she found out Madame Zeo's daughter died that night. When they get home, Michael looks for his wife, Christine, who says she was in the bathroom. He tells her he hears sounds from downstairs, but she reassures him. As they go to sleep, Christine seems tense when Michael touches her, and her slippers are covered in mud, which suggests she went outside the house. The next morning, Christine and Jessica go out in the car with one of the women they met at the event. Michael stays home and gets ready to take a shower. He suddenly hears a noise in his office and decides to go see what it is. When he gets there, he finds one of his medicine bags on the floor. He picks up the bag but notices something moving quickly in the kitchen. He searches everywhere but doesn't find anything except the back door open. He closes the door, confused by what just happened. That night, he carries his daughter in his arms and takes her to her room. When he turns on the light, he notices something moving among her dolls. Michael bends down to look under the bed, but doesn't see a scary, disfigured person watching him from the window. He closes the window without noticing the danger and goes down to the kitchen to talk to his wife. He tells her he's worried that their daughter is scared to sleep in her room and that something is making her tense. Christine interrupts him and surprises him with the news that she's pregnant, which makes Michael very happy. He asks her if she went to an OBGYN to find out the news, and she says she went to the town's midwife, Madame Zeos. Michael is annoyed by this, but Christine says she doesn't want to discuss the choice she made. The next night it's raining. Michael is working in his office, and Christine asks for his help with Jessica's homework. He promises to go as soon as he's done, but Christine criticizes him for working too much and reminds him of the reason they moved in the first place. And a little later, Michael goes to his room but finds Jessica asleep with her mom. He decides to sleep on the living room couch. He gets comfortable, and suddenly Christine appears and approaches him. As he's with her, he looks up, and the house's decor suddenly turns into the darkness of the forest at night. Instead of Christine, he finds Lauren, who asks him for help, which makes him wake up terrified from the nightmare. Then Michael hears quiet footsteps coming from the barn and decides to go see what's wrong with a flashlight. He opens the door and cautiously enters. He reaches for a wrench and uses it as a weapon. Suddenly, the door slams shut. A small goat runs toward the exit, but in an involuntary move, Michael hits it on the head with the wrench, killing it instantly. Michael then goes to the garage to get a trash bag to get rid of the goat's body, but when when he returns to the barn, he only finds a blood trail on the ground, as if the goat's body was dragged away. In the morning, Christine and Jessica get dressed to go to church. Michael tells her she's been spending a lot of time there and hasn't been helping him at the clinic. She says she'll help him soon because she's already made arrangements with the people at the church.
Did you hear anything out in the back last night?
But Christine says she didn't hear a thing. Michael gets ready for his day's appointments and finds he only has one patient scheduled. He looks in the waiting room and doesn't see anyone. He then finds on the answering machine that all the patients asked to postpone their appointments. He goes back to the barn to get the bag he left and take it back to the garage. As he's leaving, he's startled when he sees Lauren walking with great difficulty toward him, her belly open and covered in her own blood. He lifts her up and asks her what happened. Lauren only responds with one word, "Isolated ones," then says the name Catherine before dying in his arms. Michael runs to his office to call for help, but there's no response. When he goes back to where Lauren's body was, he doesn't find anything but blood. Michael quickly goes to the police station to ask for help and report Lauren's death, but the sheriff doesn't seem to believe him or care about the matter. He leaves, angry at the sheriff's behavior, and says he'll investigate it himself. As he tries to start his car, it won't turn on. He looks at the engine but doesn't find anything wrong. As soon as he closes the hood, the town's mechanic shows up to offer his services. Michael, who is annoyed by the whole situation, just asks him to tow his car. He walks down the street and sees a crowd and noise at one of the town's intersections. When he gets closer, he discovers that Lauren's body is the cause of the commotion. He tries to get closer to the body, but Tyler stops him and tells him that there are laws here. Then some men take Lauren's body and move it to another place. Ajay stares at Michael as if the doctor has something to do with it. When he gets home, Michael calls Phil and asks him to explain what's happening.
I'm sorry, I can't.
Michael gets his black light to examine the bloodstains on the sidewalk where Lauren's body was. When he gets back to his office, he turns on the device and handprints appear on the chair and all over the house. He follows them to Jessica's room and finds a handprint on his daughter's face. He immediately goes downstairs and tries to call a taxi to escape the place with his family, but the dispatcher tells him they don't serve their area. Michael, in a state of complete despair, tries to open his computer, but there's no internet. Suddenly, Madame Zayas appears in his office.
We don't have much time.
He asks how she got into his house, and she just replies,
They're coming for you.
She tells him they have a baby who is about to be born and that Michael must help her deliver it since he didn't offer the sacrifice Phil told him about. He asks who she is, and the woman says she's the Zalos and that she speaks for the creatures. Suddenly, many people appear with corpse-like faces and glowing eyes. Their bodies are covered in something like dust, and they act like savage animals in the way they walk and behave, yet they seem somewhat organized. The creatures take Michael to the entrance of a tunnel, and Zalos tells him he must help them with a disease they don't know about yet. The creatures then start taking the doctor deeper into the tunnel. He gets to a wide opening where a larger number of the isolated ones are gathered around him. They seem curious about the doctor's presence. Then one of the creatures gives him his medical bag, which had disappeared. He gets to another opening where one of the creatures is pregnant and looks like she's giving birth. Even without all the necessary tools, Michael starts the cesarean section, gives the creature an anesthetic, and opens her belly. He successfully finishes the operation, and then the creatures carry him away.
Daddy?
He finds himself on his couch with white marks and dust all over his body. After he cleans himself up, he goes to Phil's house to talk to him. There he finds Phil and Tyler. Tyler gets angry, but Phil tells him to turn on the lawnmower so they can talk without the creatures hearing them. Phil admits he tried to warn Michael about the place when he sent him to his wife Rosie's room. He explains that there's no way to escape because these creatures control everything, and that they took Rosie and only left her eye in the bed. As he walks around town, Michael runs into Joanna's husband and asks him about her pregnancy. The man replies that his wife was never pregnant and walks away annoyed. Michael waits at home until his wife gets back. He tries to talk to her about the whole situation in this place, but she strongly refuses and slaps him for insisting with his questions. She then tells him it's time to take their dog, Big, for a walk, as if she's hinting that the dog will be the next sacrifice for the isolated ones. Jessica sees her dad leaving with Big and follows them. That night at the sacrifice stone, Michael tries to hit the dog with a hammer.
Daddy?
The isolated ones start to approach the girl, so he quickly grabs her and takes her back home. Michael starts locking the doors and windows, fortifying the house in an attempt to protect himself from the creatures. After that, the family tries to live a normal routine amidst the chaos in the place. The next night, after another nightmare with Lauren and the isolated ones, one of the creatures attacks his house and takes him back to the tunnels. This time, it's to help the creature who gave birth earlier because her wound doesn't seem to be healing. Despite Michael's attempts, the creature dies, and then the other creatures start eating her in front of him. They pull Michael outside, where he sees they have captured Phil. Phil tells him they heard their conversation. The isolated ones want Michael to kill Phil and show him Jessica's teddy bear to force him to do it. Phil just asks him to protect Tyler. Michael apologizes to him before delivering a fatal blow to his head. When he gets home, Michael returns the teddy bear to his daughter and falls asleep while watching her in her room. In the morning, Michael finds Tyler with his grandfather's eyes. Tyler reveals that Zeus is half-isolated one and asks for his help to fight these creatures. Michael refuses at first, but then Tyler convinces him with a note, which makes Michael change his mind about leaving the town. When he gets back home, Michael packs their belongings and puts them all in the car, planning to escape the town. Halfway there, the sheriff stops them and calls Michael to talk next to the car. Suddenly, the sound of Tyler screaming is heard in the forest, and this was all part of a plan to distract the sheriff. Christine starts the car and floors it toward the sheriff, who manages to dodge it. The family then escapes and gets to the place where Tyler's screams came from. Michael sees Tyler's bag on the ground and goes inside the house to look for him. Michael enters the quiet house and hears Tyler's voice in the basement. He finds Tyler and Zeus torturing him, so he steps in to free him, and they escape. Zeus lets out a strange scream, and the creatures attack the family's car outside. Michael and Tyler start fighting the creatures. One of them manages to open the car door, but Tyler quickly slaughters it. They escape in the car, terrified. They try to get away on the bridge, but the sheriff had blocked the road, so they change their route. A little later, they hit a fallen tree in the road. They try to get back home, carrying the body of one of the creatures, but as soon as they get there, Tyler is attacked and eaten by the isolated ones. Michael takes the creature's body to his office to find a way to amplify their infection in an attempt to wipe out the isolated ones. Michael takes care of his wife in bed, and Jessica plays with her teddy bear next to the door. The door slowly opens, and one of the creatures kidnaps Jessica. So Michael mixes a larger amount of his samples of highly contagious viruses and goes to the creature's lair. When he gets there, one of the creatures is dying on the ground. So he starts his plan to inject the pathogens into the creature and make it the bait. But like every time, the creature with him asks him to inject the needle into his own arm first. Michael does this and is then taken outside. He suddenly hears his daughter's voice and goes to look for her. He finds her and gives her medicine before he passes out, still weak from the injection's effect. Michael watches as some of the isolated ones crawl toward him. They are slowly dying, with yellow mouths. Before he leaves the place, he unleashes all his anger on one of the infected ones and keeps hitting it until it dies. They escape from the lair, and we go back to the first scene in the movie. The father and daughter get home, and the sound of Christine's scream is heard in the room.
Daddy, what's happening?
He runs there and finds his wife giving birth with Zeus, the sheriff, and his sons. Christine apologizes to Michael for bringing him to this place. Michael, who doesn't understand what his wife is saying, watches her give birth to a baby that looks like the creatures and goes into shock. Zeus, holding the baby in her arms, says that soon he will speak for them, and the young men hit Michael, making him lose consciousness. When he wakes up, everyone is gone and the house is a mess. Michael screams for his wife and daughter, but no one answers. He then finds a broken frame picture of his wife as a child on the floor. Here comes the shocking twist. In the picture, there's a mailbox with the name Zeus written on it, which reveals that his wife had been from the line of the isolated ones all along. If you liked the video, please like it and subscribe to the channel. See you in the next video.